Varmt välkomna till ett nytt avsnitt av Studio AIK Live. Idag så blir det lite snack på engelska eftersom vi har 2 stycken från USA med oss. Vi har Hannah Davison och Caroline Murray i studion. Varmt välkomna.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
How much did you get of what I just said?
Not much, just the last word.
Which is välkomna.
Yes.
Yeah, that's good. So we understood that you're welcome here.
Yeah, we're working on the Swedish.
It's a good start. But how is your Swedish going?
It could be better, definitely, but I think we're working on it. Our teammates help us a lot, just having conversations in the locker room. And I started when I got here using the Duolingo app, but it was more things that weren't helpful, I felt like, in the conversations that I was having. But it's coming along.
Okay. How often do you study, Caroline?
I know I should know much more Swedish than I do because I've been in Sweden for a few years, but I think some of it I understand, some I just get nervous, very nervous speaking it, so I should probably push myself with that a lot more.
I understand that. It's difficult to speak in another language.
Yes.
I feel nervous just speaking English today, but I feel like we should get through it.
It's easier because like everybody will speak English towards us, so sometimes we get let off the hook for not having to learn so much.
True. But would you say Swedish is a difficult language to learn?
Yes. I think like the way your guys' like tongue makes the sounds is really hard sometimes for my mouth to make.
Like rolling
Yeah.
the R's, I am so bad at, but
Yeah.
we're practicing.
We can say it, but we just sound very American because we don't have the accent to go with the words.
But is the team pushing you to speak more Swedish?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. But do you know, Caroline, because you've been in Sweden longer than Hannah, do you know more Swedish, would you say? But you just don't speak it?
I think maybe Hannah's been better at learning it than I have.
Okay.
I may be more like willing to like try in like social settings, but I think like her, I'm more comfortable like understanding it more and reading it. Like I can like manage to get around now. It's just the speaking. I can like say something and then when someone responds faster than I spoke it to them, I'm like, oh, okay, no.
But if you go to like just to have a cup of coffee, do you order in Swedish or do you still speak English?
Yeah, I try to. Yeah, or at like the grocery store checking out. I looked up like all those words, like "Can you help me?" or things like that. But
one day maybe you're gonna be fluent.
yes, that's the goal.
Yeah. But so now there's an international break. So you told me earlier that you're not a lot of players practicing right now. Is that correct?
Correct.
It's just, what was it, 6 players during today's... No, today you're off.
Today we're off.
Earlier. But what do you do when you're not practicing? If you have time off, which you have today, except being here, and tomorrow as well.
Well, I've been doing a little bit of coaching with the 09 girls in the academy, so that's been keeping me busy, and actually a little bit of dog walking, so I like to do things outside of football a bit to change it up.
Yeah. How's the coaching bit? Is it fun?
Really fun, and I learned so much as a player, and it's just a fun, positive environment to be around. I think I have just as good a time as the players do, so it's really nice for me.
And do you see any future AIK talents in your group?
Yes, definitely. Some very, very good players who are going to develop a lot this year. So I'm excited to watch them.
And Hannah, what do you do?
I'm more of like chill. I don't work, but I like going and getting fika with teammates, and it's been nice. I think when I came to Sweden, I learned that I have a lot more hobbies than I maybe didn't partake in when I was in the States, but I became a little bit of a bookworm this year, and painting has been a hobby of mine lately.
Okay.
I'm in the middle of a painting right now.
Okay. We have some paints behind you. Maybe we can have yours here in the studio.
Yes, I'll donate a piece.
Yeah. Thank you.
But yeah, just taking one day at a time. I just like being outside and enjoying it and putting all my focus on football right now has been nice.
Do you what players do you hang out with in the team? Or do you have any special closer friends in the team?
Yeah, I think we're all like really close on the team actually, which I think is even different from last year a little bit of just how close the team is, where I think you can really go and have fika or have like a dinner night with anyone on the team, but yeah, I think I'm really close with Jenny Danielson, and Julia Olsen are kind of my best friends on the team.
Okay.
I'm with them a lot.
And you've learned to fika, which is a really good thing.
Yes.
And it's a good word, right? Because it's not in English.
Exactly.
It doesn't have a word.
My hometown, actually, in Geneva, my mom called me the other day because it's a Swedish heritage a little bit. And so in the summer, we celebrate Swedish days, which
Okay.
I didn't know up until I was going to come here. I was like, oh, yeah, this is the perfect fit for me. And then they're opening a fika restaurant in the hometown. So now when I go back, I can continue to have my daily fikas.
Nice. But where you come from, Caroline, there's no fika places yet?
Not
I guess there are coffee shops, but...
Yeah.
Okay.
We don't like to take breaks in the States.
No.
Okay.
No workday break.
But if we try to focus more on the football, the season has started now. The first game was a victory, and now last game a defeat against Kalmar. What do you say about the opening of the season?
Yeah, I think the first match was really good. We came out and did exactly what we wanted to do. And I think it showcased a lot of our strengths that will carry us throughout the season. Just really strong in our defense, and our press has been kind of the backbone in what we rely on in games to make teams uncomfortable. And that's really where I think a lot of our attack starts. And I think the Örebro game was just a really good execution of that game plan. Unfortunately, going into the next game, dropping off in that, and we just opened the game up too much, and it was disappointing to see just, I don't know, the execution just not coming together. And I think players who usually step up in games like that not executing. But.
What would you say, Caroline?
I think our first game was a really great start to the season, and we were very proud of our effort because we were so organized defensively, and I think we were very creative attacking-wise. And then our second game, we kind of lacked some organization a bit. We were a bit spread out in between the lines, but I think we know we can fix these problems, and I think we're very confident going into our next matches.
Would you say that the last game was more of the tactic was the problem, or was it like the individuals that you as a group maybe didn't perform?
Yeah, I think we had pretty strong tactics going into the game. I think it was just the execution of that. And like Caroline said, I think the fundamentals that our team prides ourselves on weren't there. And when that doesn't happen, I think it was just led to mistake after mistake and a little bit of chaos throughout the game. But like she said, I think that this is good to see an early game like that, so that it was kind of a wake-up call that in this league you have to bring it every single game and you have to be on. And no matter who you're facing, even though they're one of the new teams in the league, coming into the game, not caring who is on the other side of the field against you, and just going and doing our thing and focusing on us and what we're here to do.
What would you have done differently against Kalmar if you could play the game again, Caroline?
I think we would have just overall kind of collectively been a bit more on the same page defensively. I think we got exposed kind of where there were gaps, and they punished us for those mistakes. And I think it was a good learning experience for us, and we don't usually have that problem, I think, so we are going to do our best to not let it happen again.
Sorry, before we continue. Kalle, do you think hur låter ljudet? Funkar det bra? Maybe we should move your microphone a bit closer, just make sure that, maybe that, just to make sure everything is sounding good. Och bilden funkar okej, eller? Alltså de täcker inte? Nej, det är det. Ja, bra. Perfect. Thank you. Okay. But what would you say that you as a team need to improve the most in the coming games?
I think looking back at the Kalmar film, there's so many times where there's really easy options for us to play. And I think just settling down into the game early and being the team that dictates the tempo and the rhythm of the game, staying calm, just being smart on the ball and making quick decisions. A lot of the analysis, I think when you look at games at this level, it's the team with the higher ball play speed on and off the ball just our movements and reading the game just needs to come up and then just stay consistently there.
But and you want to dictate the tempo. Is that like having more possession as well?
Yeah, and I think, again, with the analysis, we're maintaining more possession, but I still think we can just play faster and find those gaps when, like, we do switch the field, not letting other teams get organized and just being, like, on top of them the entire game. Maybe not. It's hard to press for a full 90 minutes, but I think the ball play speed, like, let the ball do the work and keep it moving, find the gaps, and just play the easy options and keep it going forward.
So would you say you as a team in general have a tactic of high pressing in combination with possession?
Yeah, and I think we're really trying to develop off of what we got so much better with that last season, and I think we're trying to build off of that and do it more and more and be able to be a team that can keep possession and our opponents have to.
What would you say, maybe hard to answer, but what would you say is the biggest key to make that happen, to retain more possession?
I think it's, at this point, almost comes just like individual player responsibility to help the ball holder, of course, with like where the spaces are, but really just watching the games, watching different men's games, and like at the highest level for the women's game, watching where those spaces are and just being able to make decisions quicker. Because I think our press, when it works and we're doing it together, is really deadly. And even the best teams in the league, I think, struggle when we're coming up on them and keeping them in their end. So now I think it's just when we finally get the ball to be coughed over to us, it's just being calm enough to connect those passes and then be able to build on their half and keep them locked in.
And Caroline, in the attacking phase, what would you say that you want to improve there? How do you want to attack in the best way?
I think we want to be a team that can punish teams with their weaknesses if we are able to play through or play over, but then still use our individual creativity, because I think we have such great attacking players who can individually create such great opportunities and be using that as well.
So now we've talked a bit about what to improve, but what would you say is the team's biggest strength?
I think our back line is going to be really strong this year with the addition of Jenny Nordin. She's a monster in the air and just like a brick wall. So I've really enjoyed playing next to her. And I think when you just look across our line, that there's a lot of good individual players, and the presence that we have on the field, I think, is going to be really good for us to have maybe like that safety net or just security in knowing that we can go forward because we got the back line secured and no one's going to get through us so easily. So I think just that, and then with the press and just not letting any team play through us. We want teams to play around, and I think it's really, really good when we do that. Both our press and just our defensive work as a unit is, I think, a really important identity piece for us as a team.
Do you agree?
Yeah, and we want to be like the hardest working team, the most frustrating team to play against in the league, for sure.
It sounds like also a tough tactic regarding your physicality, that you have to run a lot, and it sounds tough. Is it hard, the endurance and that part?
It is, but I think this year, or at the end of last season, taking our fitness up to the next level has felt really good. I think the team is way fitter than we were last year, and the preseason was longer than I think I've ever had a preseason, but we worked super hard, and I think we are super fit to be able to do that press and to work hard and make those runs. So, it is tough, but I think we put in enough work where it's going to pay off.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
So the defense is strong, but against Kalmar, you let in 3 goals. What would you say was the reason for that?
I think a lot of the goals started not necessarily at the back line, but just our press breaking down. We had opened a lot of gaps all over the field, and a lot of times it was losing the ball, not taking advantage of a transition moment where we were maybe numbers up and holding on to the ball too long, where we're losing it in spaces where, if you're going to attack, the team gets really expanded. And if we lose the ball in the middle of the field, it can be the perfect opportunity for a team to transition. So I think it's just cleaning things up higher up the field. We just learned a little phrase the other day, what happens globally, we have to deal with locally. And
nice.
And I think that was kind of the sums up the game a little bit, and obviously just being a little bit cleaner in our box defending will just continue to come with getting back in the game and getting back in season form.
So the expression is kind of like that everyone on the pitch has to help defensively, not just the back line.
Right. And it's usually like, I mean, when you look at a goal and you can say, like, I should have cleared this, or I should have done this, or been in this positioning. But if you look like 3-4 seconds before that, or 10 seconds before that, could this whole situation have been preventable? And what can we do higher up the field where they're not able to transition on us? And I think those are like really important things to look at and analyze, that it's not just once they cross over, once they enter into our box, what's going on and what failed. I think it's happening higher up the field, and then just working on us, like it not being so easy to play over us and how to deal with those balls when they come and just clean everything up.
Do you agree?
Yeah, and I think we can be a team that's very good defensively and attacking-wise in the box, and I think we were disappointed with how we performed with that, but we know we have the ability to be a strong team in both boxes.
So how have how's the two first games felt for you individually, if we start with Hannah?
Yeah, I thought the Orebro game was a good game. I was proud of how we started the season. And then the Kalmar game, I think I'm just very disappointed in my individual performance. There was a lot looking back at the film where I maybe felt like I was under stress in certain situations, that there were pretty easy outlets.
Okay.
And then just, getting a little bit spread out. We played in a 3-back for spans of the game, which we've been working on, but just covering those spaces for each other. And I think Jenny coming and having just someone new in the back line, still working on our chemistry and when we need a step, who needs to cover, and things like that. But yeah, I've looked at it and I'm definitely disappointed, but nothing that I can't grow from and learn from, and will be way better the next game, knowing that where my options are and where the space is, and just...
Caroline, what would you say, how's the first two games been for you?
The first match, I think, was fun for me because I got to be very involved in the attacking play. So as an outside back, I think that's one of my favorite things. The second match was definitely disappointed in my individual effort because I never really found my way into the attacking side, and defensively I know I can be better than what I was. So just learning from those mistakes and keep going.
Yeah, because you are a really versatile player. And I want to ask you more about that, but we'll stay in the first two games for just a few minutes more. But do you, as a team, have any specific goal for this season?
We maybe not so concrete of like this is the exact place we want to finish. And I think that decision came from just looking at last year's results, the difference between the third place team and who got that Champions League spot and 8th place was the difference of 5 points. And so I think striving just for a place was not necessarily our intention, but that I think the goal is, and the team collective is the understanding that we can be in that fight for that Champions League spot, or just placing higher up in the league, and continuing to just be a really stable team in this league and work on the consistency game to game. Really show everybody who doubts that like we should be in this league that we're here to stay, and just over the next couple of years be a team that's always fighting for those top 3 spots.
Do you feel the same?
Yeah, and I think last season we had some great matches, but then we had some poor performances too. So I think becoming a more consistent team in the league and being able to compete with any team in the league is something we're definitely striving for.
And do you personally have any goals for the season?
I would like to just continue to develop as a player and be one of the best center backs in this league. I think knowing myself and the potential that I have, that I can be one of those players and just be really stable center back, that I know I'm really found and secure defensively and what I can do in the box and in the air, but just developing my game playing out of the back and possession, and being able to really help the team move forward and set play and be a calm presence on the ball is something that I want to work on this year and just master those skills.
Do you have any Anything?
I would like to be a player that can create more attacking chances for the team, but also be reliable defensively and be someone solid in the back line as well.
Sounds like the perfect wingback.
Yes.
But now that there's an international break, I was just going to ask you about the national team for you. Because I realized there's a pretty tough competition, a lot of skilled players in that team. But is that something that you've thought about during your career?
Yeah, I think about it. I would love to get back into that pool. I had been invited in the youth pools when I was younger, but have not been back for quite some time. And I think that's a lot of players' goals once you get to this level, is always to represent your country. It's really special. So definitely trying to find my way back into there. And I think spending time playing in Europe is like a really valuable experience for any player, but specifically for me and what I needed. I think just the soccer here, the football here, teaches such good foundations of the game and like the fundamentals of the game that I think we kind of just skip in the States.
Okay.
So I think it's been really invaluable to my development being here and learning so much.
Have you heard anything from the national team? Do you know if they've seen you play here in Sweden?
I'm not sure. I get some messages from coaches who maybe or maybe not are like involved in things that could maybe help me get there, those connections. But just focusing right now on what I'm doing here and getting to a point where I feel like I'm ready to step into that role, and just watching the players that do have that privilege to represent the U.S. right now, who play center back or outside back, and just really, really watching their film to see what the difference is between them and me and where I can improve in my game to fill in that role.
What do you think about the national team?
I mean, for me, I'm pretty focused on the league here, the team here, and just giving my best right now in Sweden.
Yeah. But have you never thought about it during your career?
Of course, I think as an American, that's like every girl grows up like dreaming of that. And I think it's a great thing our national team is such a challenging pool of players to get into. But also then it's a very tough goal to achieve. Yeah.
But have you had any role model when you grew up in the team?
Yeah, it was a funny story when I finished college. I mean, my whole life I had been idolizing Julie Ertz.
Okay.
She was the center back and also plays a little bit and holding midfielder. But having like posters of her in my room.
Okay.
And I've always loved the way that she plays, because I think she's so good defensively and is like the tackler in the heart of the team, of just like a sword in the midfield, just like will go to ground. And I've always admired that. And when I was drafted after college to the NWSL, one of the first reporters asked me, like, how does it feel that Julie Ertz is your teammate? And I was like, oh my gosh, like she is my teammate now, like freaking out, and had a little fangirl moment there. But it was just so surreal to play with her for 2 seasons. And Tierna Davison, who is now the center back for them.
And
Sarah
you played
Gordon.
with Sam Kerr, right?
Yeah, and Sam Kerr, Casey Short, Casey Kruger now. Just so many legends who have gone through the national team. Yeah, Morgan Bryan, Yuki Nagasato, like so many players that do represent their national teams at the highest level, are winning World Cups, are winning gold medals. And it was such an amazing experience to see that, and especially having 2 players at my position who go and play on the highest stage. It was amazing.
Was she as good as you imagined?
Yes. And like every aspect of the game.
Yeah.
And just her leadership. She just completely like demanded the team in every way. She would stop practice if the drill wasn't good enough, and she could tell players on the other side of the field. I think it's so easy to just follow the ball, and she would like stop it and be pointing to the other side of the field. And I'm like,
wow,
how did she see that when she's on the field playing with us? And I think her understanding of the game and how much she like puts towards it and how much she cares was really, really cool to learn from, and just like observe for like in every practice and see like what it's really like, and that it didn't just come naturally to her, that she works for every single thing that she has gotten. And it was really cool.
Amazing. When I grew up, Mia Hamm was the biggest star.
Yes.
in I think the whole like women's game in tough competition with maybe Birgit Prinz, the German player. But do you have one role model when you grew up?
Well, I played against Crystal Dunn in college, and she was playing as a wing back, and I remember thinking it was like so hard to play against a wing back that was so attacking minded. So I think I kind of like...
You liked it and wanted to learn from it.
Yeah, and it was
adapted.
like such a pain to play against. So I was like, wow.
This is going to be me.
Hopefully, yeah.
But you've been here for a few years. You've been here for 1 year, right?
Yep.
If I say that if you stay here for 5 years, you can get a Swedish citizenship and play for the Swedish national team. What do you think about that?
I was just talking about this the other day, and I was like, Sweden is in second for like the best women's team, and I was like, I just went to the 2 best places. Like, if I get Swedish citizenship, is it going to be any easier to break in? But
maybe just a tad easier.
Yeah, that would be sweet. I mean, the Swedish national team is amazing as well. There's so many good players, and I've loved living here and playing here. And
so you could see yourself as a Swedish citizen at least.
Yeah, I'm part Swedish a little bit.
Okay.
I also learned that when I was home from the break.
Okay.
That we had some relatives here, and part Swedish, part Norwegian. So
okay,
you never know.
But we don't like Norway that much, so
okay, just Swedish.
But what about you? What would you say?
I'm also a little bit Swedish too, and I have Swedish relatives who I met 2 years ago, and they've come to visit my grandparents in the US, and my grandparents have come to Sweden to visit them, but this was my first time meeting them, so I think it was a very cool family moment that we had.
So you both really already have a connection to Sweden.
Yes.
Before you even knew it yourselves. That's awesome. But you both signed for AIK a year ago. How would you describe your first year in AIK if we start with Caroline?
I think it was such a great opportunity for me in my career, and I am so honored to be here, and I learned so much last season that a big goal is to build off of that and be better this season.
What do you say?
Yeah, I think that this was exactly what I needed at this point in my career. Getting the learning experience that I talked about with NWSL, but not the game experience. This was like the perfect transition, and I think the perfect fit for me as a club, and that they needed a center back, I think, that had that like American, just like warrior mindset, and it was a good fit in that sense, and just really enjoying the girls and the way that we play. Learning so much, like I've been saying, about just the fundamentals that I maybe missed out on when I was a young player, that I see them teaching in the academies and everything like that.
And what would you say that is?
I think just like getting touches on the ball, being calm, just like preparing the ball for where you're going next, reading the play, just the focus on what we work on in practice, and like ball play speed. There's a way bigger emphasis on just physicality. And I think coming here, it was easy to see. I think both me and Caroline are quite athletic, almost like where you can see a big difference when you're just maybe in a game or at practice. And in the States, everyone's athletic, so it's like really hard to kind of make your stand. So
Swedes better on the ball, but not as good athletic-wise.
Maybe in a general sense. There's obviously very athletic Swedes, and players in this league are very athletic as well. But I think just the emphasis on like it's more of playing in behind, track meet type style soccer, and big physical duels in the midfield. Where here there's a lot bigger emphasis on just like the tactics of the game, and it's maybe more fun to watch here and how fast the ball is moving. But like we were just talking about, I think that gap is closing on both ends. I think the physicality all over Europe, the European leagues, is getting higher, and the soccer in the NWSL and is also getting much, much better. There's players transferring left and right between the leagues, and I think that's really cool to see because they're bringing such different styles of soccer with them that the teams adapt and like work with. And those players, when you bring them in and that are really good, you start to build your team around them and like what's good for them. And that's what I think that we did here, was last year bringing in so many internationals, it was like a melting pot of talent. And like Johannika plays like one way, Jenny and Kaisa play one way, me and Caroline play one way, and the Swedes play one way. And how do we use all of those different styles and like make them be great and utilize everyone's strengths to come together?
And would you say you've been able to do that now this season?
Yeah, I think that's why it's also feeling a lot more fluid.
Okay.
And we're all getting on the same page and have built those relationships now of knowing, you know, what everybody wants, where they want the ball, and how to get the best out of everybody.
And how would you describe growing up in the US playing soccer?
I think it definitely is very, like, the physicality. There's a big emphasis on that, being a player who can run a lot, who is fast, who is very strong. And I think I was so happy to have the opportunity to come to Europe, because I think I really truly have like learned the game so much better from being here, and it's pushed me out of my comfort zone, and I really appreciate the view of the game here so much.
Did you, as a kid, grow up dreaming of playing in Europe?
I just like dreamed of playing professional soccer wherever that was for me. I played, like, I think everyone starts playing when they're so young, like their dad coaches their team, and I begged my mom to let me play on a travel team to get more competition, and it's just been like this steady incline of like, I want more, where can I get more? I want more competition, I want to be pushed, and that's exactly what I think happened here. It's that it's not always comfortable because it exposes things that I need to work on, but it's made me, even from last year to this year, the strides that I've made as a player, and being in a leadership role this year, the way that has helped me develop as a person has just been, it's been great.
And if you were to compare the support from around everything, what would you say is the difference?
I think this club specifically has an amazing following of supporters. Just they're at everything and they're so loud, and I think it's cool to see how much they care. Like, even when we have a bad game, I think people still talk about it, and I think that's really important, not to be upset about that, but that's how you know they care and that they're invested. And so I think that's amazing. And the people that come out, I thought the Hammarby game last year was so cool to play in a crowd that big. That was a lot of our first times, I think, experiencing that. And that football is like the top sport in Europe. So I think that's like a big difference back in the States, that you have American football, baseball, basketball, hockey, that soccer kind of takes a back seat. And so here, just seeing how passionate everybody is.
Yeah, here it's number one.
Yeah, like people's lives revolve around football and like the players. And I think that's so cool and exciting. And just, we watch more soccer here than, or I do at least, because it's always on everywhere you go. So it's easy to enjoy it and soak all that up.
How was the, you mentioned the game against Hammarby. How was the anticipation before that game? How did you feel?
I think we sort of knew what the atmosphere was going to be like, but I still think we all were kind of like in awe of just how much attention that match got. And it was, of course, we really wish the match had gone better, but I think it was just a cool moment for women's football to see like how far it's come and how much more I think is going to come for the game. It was very cool.
And now during Barcelona, Real Madrid were sold out. Camp Nou, almost 100,000. Yeah. And now it's sold out again for the next game. So things are starting to happen. Yeah. Which is really cool.
It is really cool. It's about time too. I think all the leagues are starting to, or people are starting to understand like the importance of investing in women's sports, and like all over the leagues, as each league continues to grow and get that type of support, it's like the next league is trying to compete with that to keep their players in their league, and seeing contracts go up and this and that and what they can offer players, and just keeping us like safe and healthy and being able to, you know, just provide what we need to be able to perform at this level it's really exciting to see that everything is going in the right direction.
Do you talk about that a lot in the team, about like the women's game growing, and you want it to grow even more?
I think that everyone is pretty focused on just like being grateful for what we do for a living. And I definitely feel that within the team, that we don't take this for granted whatsoever, that we get to play football and make money and live here and do that. But I think that there are discussions happening about it and what we can do individually or as a league. And I think the NWSL was like spearheading a lot of things and seeing that over there. I wish there was more of that in this league, of just like a couple individuals on each team coming together and constantly like pushing it forward. And I think it's powerful when it comes from the players on what we want and demanding that and not backing down from that. Because we do deserve it. And
because like the men's team play at Friends Arena, you play at Skytteholm. In a perfect world, you would also play at Friends Arena.
Yes.
So there are steps to take still.
Yeah, exactly. And just like everything different, like switching surfaces, I think there's little tiny things that I don't think supporters or people who haven't been playing the game understand how that affects your body and your muscles and just the type of the play, like playing against Kalmar. That's like a hybrid grass field that we have yet to play on since we've been back throughout all of preseason. And they're not excuses for going into the game, but just that like the differences and switching all the time and how we travel and how we're fed and different things that are able to be provided. And then at the end of the day, just salaries in general.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, where they can be compared to the men and doing the same work for just less right now.
What do you think?
I definitely agree, and I think big progress has been made, and I think it's just going to continue for there to be more progress, and I think it'll be very exciting to see what it's like even like 10 years from now. So I'm excited to see it.
I think the conversation too, like there's been so much talk with like normalizing like pregnancies and like that we have all these other things at this point in our career that we start to think about, and seeing so much support given for that and like mental health and all those other things that even maybe for the men's players they didn't have before, but just introducing these new topics also of like how legit this is and like all the things that they want to provide, I think is also really cool to see.
I agree. It feels like we're a part of a growing phase right now.
Yeah.
But Hannah, you are now the team captain. What does that mean to you?
I am extremely honored to be given that title this year. I was a little bit shocked just because I'm still new to the club, and like we've been saying, I'm a younger player, but I'm extremely honored to be in that role and represent this club and the girls on the field and where I see this team heading. Just feeling like the respect that the coaches have for me and the players have, and the trust that they have in me to be the one to help navigate us through this season. And it being the second season in the league, I think is always tougher than the first. But just using my strengths on and off the field and being able to help us have a really successful season.
Do you think Hannah's a good captain?
I think Hannah was very deserving of being our captain because I think you're someone who just naturally has a leading ability, and everyone really from like day one you got here, I think really looks to you as a positive example, and you always do the right thing on and off the field, and I think it's really exciting for the club, and I'm excited to see how you lead us this season.
That was so nice.
Do you feel more pressure being the captain? Do you feel like it's a big responsibility?
I definitely think it's a big responsibility, but my focus is just on the team, and I know there's a lot of talk about pressure maybe from outside sources or supporters or whatever it is, but just focusing on what I do. And it comes, like she said, I think it does come naturally to me to just be vocal and lead, and watching the leaders in my life, just that servant leadership, I think is really key to who I am and like wanting to always do things for other people. So just not letting like those things get to me and doing what I do and not changing who I am now that I just have a title that comes along with it. And I believe in this team so much, and I see a really clear vision of where we can go and the players that we have, and like just how incredible this club is as a whole in our team, and that it's really special. So I think just continuing to focus on that and letting all the outside noise kind of die down and just do what I do.
Ja, och vi ska se på när Hanna pratade till laget inför premiären mot Örebro. Det såg ut så här i omklädningsrummet.
Yeah, this is the day that we've been waiting for since last season ended. Everything we do out there, 100% aggressive. We play fast, we play smart, quick, and we go and get a goal early, put this game away. But most importantly, we do it together. And if we do everything that we were just talking about and everything we've worked for this preseason, there's no way we don't go and take points. But we go and we outwork them and we leave everything on the field. So when we come back in here at halftime, we feel proud of what we've done at that point, and we are up and winning the game. Let's go. 1, 2, 3.
And Hanna, is that something that you prepare before, or does that just come naturally, what you're going to say to the team before you go out?
Yeah, I think it more just comes naturally. I don't necessarily prepare something before a match, just how we're feeling and reading the team's vibe and what we need. And I think sometimes that is like a really dig in and let's, I don't know if I can swear on here. New fun
I think we knew where you were going.
And, you know, like drive into them in that way. And I think sometimes I could feel there was a lot of nerves maybe going on in the locker room. It's the first game, and I think we had that excitement already and the adrenaline running that, like, just believe in ourselves and believe in what we're doing. The preparation has been done, and now it's all just about trusting yourself and trusting your teammates and going out there and being proud of what you leave out there and leaving it all on the field. And, yeah, I think it's just, you know, what's on my heart at the time and what the team needs to hear, and just letting them know that we got this every single game we go into. We can win this match and we're going to do it together, and trust yourself, trust everything that you've put into this, and just go and like be free and be brave and be fearless and, you know, just, yeah, leave it all out there.
I must say I agree with Caroline. You feels like you're a perfect captain. To be honest, feels like you have the natural leadership.
Thank you.
And also you have a nickname now. Gandalf.
Oh, yes.
I felt like we needed to mention that as well. You shall not pass, that's why.
Yes. That was funny.
That's a credit to your defensive ability, I guess. What do you say about the nickname?
I thought that was really funny when I saw it, and people have been putting like memes with different things and tagging me in it. And yeah, I love that. I'm not like, I don't really watch a lot of those movies, but I knew like the reference that they were making. And I was like, I love that. And people at home now also have been calling me that. So maybe it will catch on.
Gandalf is really powerful. So it's a good nickname, I would say. Do you have a nickname?
I do not have a nickname, really. I guess sometimes Murray, but no, maybe I need to think of a better nickname.
Do you call Caroline Murray? Is that the team's name?
Sometimes in a game I will, but...
Feels like Caroline is so long to shout during a game.
Yeah. I'm more of a first name person, though.
Okay.
It's really hard. Even with 2 Yennies on the team now, we're trying to like, okay, I need to call you Nordine. But then it's like, it just can't come out naturally. It's first names for me.
Okay, so it's Jenny then.
Yeah.
And Caroline even during the game.
Yeah. Okay. You just got to say it fast.
But I know that you've also been really good at other sports growing up. Was it always clear for you that was going to be football that was going to be the choice?
I think so. I knew that was always probably my best sport and what I felt the most fun doing from a young age. That was what consumed the most of my time as well. And switching to a more competitive league when I was younger kind of made that decision for me, as like of the commitment of practicing and away trips, even starting at like age 12, traveling like every weekend to go to tournaments and games. But I think playing so many other sports just helped me develop as an athlete, and that competitiveness, it's like so deep within me and who I am. Like I could play a board game and I'm getting competitive. Like I want to win anything that we do. If it's a warm-up game, it's rondo, it's tic-tac-toe. I'm like, I want to win everything that I do. Because
I wrote down triple jump, relay, and also basketball.
Yes.
And there at triple jump and relay, you had school records as well. So you were pretty successful at those sports as well.
Yeah, I think it was really nice to have just another way to train. I think the track really helped me here. I think speed is a great attribute to my game, and I learned so much on running form and how to sprint and jumping. I think just I'm good in the air in soccer, so it came again just kind of naturally. But to be able to showcase those skills like individually, it's much more fun to run with a ball at your feet than around a track. But it was really fun. Yeah, I enjoyed playing. And
did you play any other sport?
I did track and field till I was like 18, 19, but I did like 1,600 meter, 3,200 meter, 800 meter.
Okay.
But then eventually had to decide.
Oh, Caroline can run for days.
Ah, okay. And then you also felt that it was more fun with the ball at your feet.
Absolutely.
I agree. But Caroline, you've also played in Finland, Iceland. If you compare those three countries when it comes to football, what would you say is the biggest differences?
I felt like Iceland played a little bit more direct. So that was definitely a learning experience for sure. And when I played in Finland, that was my first time ever outside of the US. So there was so much tactically I was learning that year. But my main goal has always been to try to play in the top league in Sweden.
Okay.
So when I first came to Sweden, I kind of worked my way up through the leagues. But that had kind of always been my...
How come you've always dreamt of playing in Sweden?
A little bit was because my family had this connection to Sweden, but I've always had just so much respect for the league here, and I knew that would be just a great goal to strive for. Yeah,
because the Swedish national team, in comparison to Finland and Iceland, that's a pretty big difference. And if you compare AIK to Västerås and Sunnanå that you've played as well, what would you say the differences are?
I think obviously we're playing in a much tougher league, so that's a big difference. And I think both those teams helped me so much develop tactically and just become a better overall player. So I'm so grateful I had the opportunities with those teams, and they ended up leading me here. So I'm very appreciative of those opportunities.
And you have moved a lot during your career. Is AIK the place to stay now?
I've had a wonderful opportunity here, and I've loved it, and I absolutely hope so, because I am very, very grateful to be here.
That's nice. And I was asking you before, but again, you're really versatile. Is the right wingback your favorite position, or do you have anywhere else that you prefer to play?
I would say that's my favorite, but I'm also, anywhere you put me, I'm going to be happy and give it my best.
You just want to play.
Absolutely.
I understand. Have you always played center back?
I played like outside mid when I was younger, but then switched when our center back got hurt and never left. But I love it. Center back is where I feel is my spot.
Some quick questions before we let you go. What do you do when you don't play football? I've asked this before, but if you have to say something again, then something that you haven't mentioned yet, if you can come up with something.
Oh, that we haven't mentioned.
You told me that you were painting. That was a good answer, though.
Yeah. Shopping. Yeah. I'm always at the mall with friends or just shopping for anything.
The Friends Arena Mall?
Yes. I'm always there.
Attempt cooking, but that never goes well for me. So.
What do you cook then when you cook?
Nothing very well. Broccoli, salmon, but Hannah's much better at cooking.
Are you decent in the kitchen?
Yeah, I'm decent.
Okay.
I can mess around in the kitchen a little bit. I like baking more than I like cooking. But
do you often eat together in the team?
We have some nights where we will do like tacos or pizza, but not too much actually.
Not like every week.
No.
What do you listen to?
Good question.
It can be music, it can be podcast, it can be anything.
I'm actually like also coming to Sweden. I started listening to podcasts on walks and things like that, and just because I'm not working, I think just keeping my brain like always learning new information. So podcasts have been really nice, and I'm always listening to music. maybe Caroline can hear it all the time in my room.
And what music do you listen to?
Just kind of like whatever out. I like hip hop. I like rap. I like really anything. I just like singing and dancing.
Do you sing in the dressing room?
Yeah, I think I'm always dancing when the songs come on in the locker room.
What about you?
I actually really love like The Who, Grateful Dead, Led Zeppelin. I've seen The Who 3 times in concert, so maybe a bit unusual, but
No, I like The Who as well.
yeah, love it.
And Grateful Dead.
Yeah.
When I lived in Texas, learned to listen to Grateful Dead. What do you watch?
I like a lot of reality TV shows.
Like
All of the dating shows and Love is Blind, anything like that. And I love like murder, mystery, or murder documentaries. I'm like a huge crime junkie fan. That's like what my podcast.
Crime?
Yeah, true crime. Love it. That's what like all my podcasts are. And books, if I'm reading, they're always like
someone has to die.
Yes, yes, and I have to solve it before I finish it.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about you?
I do not watch any of the crime shows. I like very stupid reality shows that I'm embarrassed about that I watch.
Also, Love is Blind?
Yeah, but I'm more of like Housewives, Southern Charm, Summer House. Yeah, like the more stupid, I probably like it more.
Below Deck? Feels like it's popular right now.
Yep.
Yeah. Who would you say has the biggest winning mentality in the team?
I'm going to say Hannah.
That's hard. I feel like a lot of people are like this on our team.
Maybe you can say yourself.
I'd put myself up there for sure, but I think like there's like a group that I think just really shows it. Like me, Jenny, Caroline, Agnes, Jenny Danielson. I think it's just like always, like they're always on, and it's like the group that drives everybody, every practice. It's very good.
Who spends the most time in the gym?
Sarah Nordin.
Not even close.
She's probably there right now. Yeah. Always.
Yeah. That was easy.
Yeah.
What player do you enjoy most watching play? If you would be up in the stands, just watching a game of you playing.
Jenny Danielson.
And Hanukkah, just because she's so calm and composed on the ball. Like no one can do what she does with the ball sometimes.
I can like even if I'm not even in the stands, just like watching the game
while being on the pitch.
I'm like sometimes catching myself like
yeah.
Okay.
That was
nice. Good. I'm glad you're on my team.
I figured you might answer Jenny or Hanukkah.
Yeah.
Last question. The biggest joker in the team?
Probably Jenny also.
Okay.
Yeah. Jenny Danielson.
Yeah.
She's always making everyone laugh. She's goofy.
And that was the quick questions before we finish the game against Häcken. What do you think about it? It's now we have a pause, but it's next Friday, not this Friday, but next Friday.
I'm excited for it. I think last year when we faced them and we tied them 0-0, I think that we can go and look at that game and see what worked for us. But I think it's good to remember that and that we went in and gave them a really tough time. And I think exactly what we talked about, that press and not playing through and being so organized was the key in that game and why we did so well. Buying into what we were doing and what the tactics were. And so I think it was nice to have 2 weeks now to prepare for that game and get right mentally and just do the things we do good. And we're going to create chances. We created chances last time we played them. We just didn't put them away. But yeah, it should be a good match.
And Caroline, if you were to guess a score, how would the game end?
I think we will win the match 2-0.
2-0.
A home match, yeah.
Okay. I like that.
And Hannah, do you say the same or?
I was going to say 1-0, but I like the 2-0.
3 points regardless.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. We're going to get the shutout. Lock it down in the back.
Perfect. It was really fun talking to you.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you for coming here.
Of course.
We'll hopefully see you here again in the future after a few games in the season. Och AIK Studio, eller Studio AIK Live, är tillbaka, vi får se när, kanske imorgon, men annars är vi tillbaka nästa vecka. På återseende.